There is something a narcissist will never tell you, something they cannot afford to admit, not even to themselves, and it is this: you scare them. Not because you are aggressive, not because you have done anything wrong. You scare them because of who you are, because of the quiet, unshakable way you exist in your own life, because you wake up every morning and you make your own decisions, because you do not look to anyone else to tell you whether you are worthy, because you have built something inside yourself that no one gave you permission to build and no one can take away. That is what terrifies them, and once you understand why, you will never see your own strength the same way again. Most people think narcissists are drawn to strong women, and in a way that is true. They are drawn to you first. They see your confidence, your clarity, your sense of self, and they are magnetized by it. But what they are feeling in that initial pull is not admiration, it is hunger. They want to get close to what you have, because somewhere deep inside, beneath every layer of charm and performance and carefully constructed ego, there is an emptiness they cannot fill on their own. And they believe if they can just get close enough to you, if they can just bring you into their orbit, they can borrow your light. They can absorb what you radiate and use it to fill the hollow places they will never acknowledge exist. But here is where the fear enters the picture. Because once they are close to you, once they have moved past the attraction and tried to establish the dynamic they need, they discover something they were not prepared for. You do not comply. Not in the way they need you to. You are warm, you are present, you are engaged, but you do not dissolve. You do not hand over your sense of self for the relationship to consume. You have opinions and you keep them. You have a life outside of them and you protect it. You make decisions based on your own values, not based on their approval.
And to a narcissist, this is not just inconvenient. It is destabilizing in a way that goes to the very root of who they are. To understand why, you have to understand what a narcissist is actually built on. Strip away the confidence, the bravado, the dominance, the charm, and what you find underneath is a structure built entirely on sand. Their sense of self is not generated from within, it is manufactured from without. It depends every single day on other people reflecting back to them an image they can live with. They need to feel superior. They need to feel central. They need to feel that they are the most important variable in every room they walk into. And they maintain this not through genuine strength, but through control. Control over the narrative, control over the people around them, control over the emotional climate of every relationship they are in. And here is the mechanism that makes it all work. They find people who, for whatever reason, are willing to adjust themselves to accommodate. People who second-guess their instincts. People who apologize when they have done nothing wrong. People who shrink a little in order to let the narcissist expand. And by collecting these adjustments, by gathering this quiet compliance, they build a world in which their self-image is constantly being confirmed, a world in which they are always right, always impressive, always indispensable, a world that reflects back to them exactly what they need to see. You destroy that world simply by being yourself. Not deliberately, not as a strategy, just by being a woman who knows her own mind. Every time you trust your own instincts over their opinion, you crack the mirror.
Every time you hold a boundary without apologizing for it, you reveal the seam in their performance. Every time you make a decision from your own internal compass, rather than looking to them for direction, you demonstrate something they cannot tolerate, that their influence over you is limited, that their approval is not the currency your life runs on, that you are complete independently of them. And that realization, that dawning awareness that they cannot reshape you the way they have reshaped others, triggers something that lives at the very core of their psychology. It triggers fear. Not the fear you experience when you're walking alone at night, not a fear they would ever name or recognize. It is a deeper, older fear, the fear of being powerless, the fear of being irrelevant, the fear of being seen, truly seen, and found to be ordinary. Because your independence does not just inconvenience them, it holds up a mirror that shows them the truth about themselves. And the truth is that the power they believe they hold over others is not real strength. It is borrowed. It is manufactured. It is sustained only as long as the people around them agree, consciously or not, to participate in the illusion. You do not participate, and that changes everything. What you are about to understand will not just explain the narcissist in your life or in your past, it will reframe every confusing moment, every inexplicable reaction, every time they turned cold when you were at your most confident, every time they undermined you when you were succeeding, every time they seemed threatened by the very qualities they once said they loved about you. The third thing this understanding offers you is perhaps the most important. It offers you back your own narrative. Because one of the quietest and most lasting damages of a relationship with a narcissist is the way it rewrites your story. You go in as the author of your own life, and you come out feeling like a character in theirs. You go in with a clear sense of what you value and what you want and what kind of person you are. And you come out holding a version of yourself that has been edited by someone else's fear and filtered through someone else's need. The confidence you had becomes something you are not sure you can trust. The independence you valued becomes something you wonder if you wield it badly. The strength that was yours becomes something you apologize for in the retelling. Taking your narrative back does not mean pretending the relationship did not affect you. It means refusing to let its effect be the final word on who you are. It means looking at the version of yourself that emerged from that experience, the one that is more careful, more aware, more attuned to the texture of manipulation, and recognizing her not as damaged, but as developed, not as someone who's broken and is now trying to reassemble herself, but as someone who went through something genuinely hard and came out the other side knowing things she did not know before. That reframe is not denial. It is accurate, and it changes the way you carry everything that happened. Because here is the truth that sits at the center of all of this. The narcissist feared you because you were whole. They could not fragment you completely, even when they tried, even in the moments where you felt most lost, most confused, most uncertain about your own instincts. There was something in you that held, something that would not fully dissolve no matter how much pressure was applied, some irreducible version of yourself that stayed present even when everything around it was being systematically destabilized. That is not luck. That is not coincidence. That is the thing they were afraid of from the beginning, the thing that made you a threat before you had done anything at all, your fundamental coherence. The fact that you are someone specifically with a center that belongs to you. That center is still there. It was there through all of it. And now that you can see it clearly, now that you understand what it survived and why it had to, the only question left is what you choose to build from it. Not in spite of what happened, not in recovery from what happened, but from the fullness of who you have always been and who you are still, undiminished, standing in your own life, belonging entirely to yourself. That was never a threat to the right person. It was always only an invitation.